We're back. We're
We're
here.
back.
We're
We couldn't
thrilled
stay
and
away.
excited. We couldn't stay away. Yeah, we're so excited to be here with our guest today. And we want to tell a little bit of juicy goodness about him and love. So start us
Yes.
off.
Okay, so
Giving
like
him.
we talked about yesterday, we wanted to copy a little bit of Amy Poehler, and from her podcast, she likes to talk good behind people's backs. And so for just a second, we just want to brag on Graham for a little bit. And as I was trying to think of what to say, I'm like, there's no one word that really encapsulates who Graham is or what his abilities are. But yeah, you just like Michelle was saying to me earlier, like you just sit with him and talk with him, you just feel better. He's just
For
got some
sure.
amazing abilities. Like I didn't realize Shaman was one. I just saw in the beginning screen. So
It's in
I'm
his
learning
bio.
new stuff about him all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's bring him on. Let's get started.
Okay,
This
come on,
party
Graham.
started. Come on, Graham. We're excited. Hello.
Good evening,
Hello.
ladies. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's that's a lovely thing to do, isn't it? To brag good about somebody behind their back because there's so much nastiness. Hence, I'm going to watch The Traitors later. But yes. But yes, it is a lovely thing, isn't it, to kind of speak kindness because words have power. And when we say good things about people, it attracts them. After all, what is it? If you want something for yourself, wish it for someone else.
Wow. Yeah,
Oh,
I love
I
it.
love that.
I
Yeah.
love that.
So, Graham, how would you describe yourself?
How would I describe myself?
Lots of
Maybe should ask
ands.
other people. Lots of ands, yeah. To be fair, I suppose the best term for me would be I would be a Gnostic mystic.
Okay. Tell
Yeah.
tell more for maybe people that don't know what that is.
So technically, I was raised as a Roman Catholic, but we have a lot of spirituality in my family for obvious reasons. So my mother's family had witches, my father's family had healers. So we were brought up, exposed to lots of different spiritual paths, etc., and psychics, mediums, the whole lot. And for me, my thing about being a Gnostic mystic is also I'm a mystic, but the Gnosticism in me is for empowering people to find the light inside themselves through finding their own faith system. I explore through my own system, which is Christian based, but then again, I adopt from other things like Kabbalah, etc., Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever. But it's all about helping people find the light inside themselves so that they can return to source and connect back in. So I'm very into. I was actually sitting in bed yesterday thinking about the conversation that we were going to have. Yesterday being Sunday, no, not yesterday because it's a Monday. Sunday morning, in bed thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself, well, what exactly do I do? So, do lots of things, but I was thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself that my path is about helping people heal themselves by finding the light inside. And then I had this whole mad thing about everything I do is geared towards empowering you to live your best life. And the Gnostic texts, like that I'm working on at the moment, are like just so beautiful. And it's like literally, it's the word of God, but it's about like how do you connect to your own divinity, can heal you, and then we can use that to heal other people. So that's the work that I'm involved in, really about empowering people to find the light in their side. And because I do believe that once we start to recognize the divine inside ourselves, we can see it inside other people, and that will just change so much stuff in this world. And neuroscience is now beginning to tell us that what spirituality has been trying to teach us for thousands of years is actually real. That we can reshape our reality by mastering our mind. And so this is all documented. I mean, for example, I was thinking, I was really reflecting the other morning on the Gospel of Thomas, which is I'm giving a lecture to my spiritual community on Saturday or Sunday, should I say, this coming Sunday about it. And I've taken a particular Logion 3, which is about empowering the people. So it's the kingdom is here now within. Right. And I was explaining what that means to them. I will be explaining that blah, blah, blah in detail. Would you like me to read it to you? Or just like
I love it.
Might have had it here beside me. So Jesus said, if those who lead you to say to you, see the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you. and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty.
Mm.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
just your inner locus of evaluation, that sense of your self-worth. And you don't need external power or other people to say it. You need to find this light inside yourselves.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
inequality, how we deal with inequality is to rise ourselves up, like to rise up and be really honestly, rather than trying to figure out outside of us. It's like if all of us rise up and own that divine part of us,
Mhm.
that's the equality, like that's how we find it. And sometimes we have to bring people along. Sometimes we got to help people up to realize that for themselves, but we're really lifting rather than trying to sort. We all just get to
Yeah.
do that, right?
Exactly. And and again, as I said, neuroscience is showing us this, that once we change what we look at, the things that we look at changed, as Wayne Dyer would say. I mean, there's been experiments going around for years, like UCLA have conducted research into this. Many people do. I mean, you have those meditation experiments that was done in 1974, the big synchronized one, and
Mm-hmm.
they when they got people to 7,000 people, I think it was, synchronized meditation, and they focused on changing the crime rates in the world, and they dropped, and then they repeated it in 1988. So the thing is, if we communicate, if we come back together, we
Mm-hmm.
can change the world and what we're living in, and change this time that of darkness. But it's about recognizing that power is inside of us, and then helping other people find it.
Right.
Beautiful
Right.
job. Yeah. I believe that based on
Mm.
everything I've seen from you. You are really doing that work. Thank you.
I think,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get it out there. Yeah. So yeah. So that's it. So I have a spiritual community that meet now, and we actually have a new home. We're going there for the first time on Sunday, and
Wow.
I'm going to teach them this particular technique called Lectio Divina, which is contemplative meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you take a piece of scripture, you read through it a few times, and then you allow whatever it needs to bring up inside of you, even if it's just a feeling, an emotion, or whatever. But you latch onto a particular phrase and you breathe over it, and it brings up things, and then you try to carry that message forward into the rest of your week. So that's a very watered down version of what I'll be using. But yes, and we're using this particular piece of scripture. So
That's interesting. Me and my husband were talking about that the other day. That there is the spirituality side where it is an experiential type
mm,
thing versus just listening, versus just learning words and obeying, different things, and how we don't do that as often as we should. We don't go into it in the wonder of it, and in the holding of it, and in the one in the I wonder if, like, the curiosity of it. We're looking more for answers, when actually it's really powerful when we do something different, when we
yeah.
show up differently. Yeah, so that sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, because you have to find the answer inside yourself. I mean, things about what you focus on, as I said, we attract. So I'm fascinated by lofty questions. This is my latest thing, and where it's sort of like the ultimate version of an affirmation. So you're kind
Yeah.
of training your mind to believe it's already existed for you, because
Yeah.
again, when you think about it, what was Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, he was the greatest manifester in the world. And I generally think, I mean, he was a shaman because, of course, he was part of the Essene sect. So,
Right.
he taught people this power inside of themselves. I mean, that's what he truly gave them. I mean, if you listen to all his messages, he's like, no, this is inside of you. You have this
Mm-hmm.
inside.
Yeah.
And then, if you read things like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Thomas and stuff, they talk about the 7 lessons. That, of course, is the 7 castles, mansions of Saint Teresa of Avila, the 7 chakras. So it's working through those energy centers to raise the Christ consciousness, to bring about the sense of oneness with the divine inside yourself. And then once we all do that, the
Mm-hmm.
world's our oyster.
The world's our oyster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow.
We've got a question that's
Oh,
we're
go
gonna
on.
pull
Yeah.
up. We've got so this you have such a rare combination of disciplines. How do you see music, psychology, and spiritual connection weaving together in the healing journey?
Interesting. Well, as you girls know, I started out my life as a classical singer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing.
So most of my work came from oratorio, which is sacred opera.
Oh,
And so music is the most healing and perfect of all things. And everything is vibration. I mean, after all, what is music? But it's a way of carrying the word, you know?
Mm,
So it's a way of expressing the unexpressible. You know, I mean, it touches
wow.
our emotions. So
Yes.
I think, so I did it. I worked with intellectually disabled people doing music therapy for a while as well. So I believe in all the power of all this stuff.
Right.
And I ran a choir for for intellectually disabled people to teach them how to sing. But it was just more about teaching them how to express themselves. So I for me, it's a combination of everything because I mean, sometimes you can just sit and listen to a piece of music and just be transported. It doesn't even have to have any words, you
Right.
know. But I use music and rhythms and stuff like that to help slow the brain for brain entrainment. I mean, Gregorian chant, for example, has everything in it because the frequencies are used were deliberately designed to slow down your thinking so that you could be contemplative, you know, and
Mm,
then to bring you into that meditative state so you could connect to the divine. And what is psychotherapy? But think about it, it's about leading from outside. You know,
mhm.
you're bringing the inside out. So that's what the healing is. So all of these things act together to bring us into that state where we recognize the divine inside of ourselves.
Mm, that's
beautiful.
so well done. So well
I'm
done.
gonna have to listen to Gregorian chants again because I was a music major and I didn't really enjoy them. So I'm gonna look at them in a new lens and use it. I love those. I love that idea.
Yeah, and I think just breathe with it and just allow it to sit with it. I mean, I was obsessed with Thomas Tallis and Speminalium.
Mm,
Okay.
It's a 40 part motet. It just really brought me into that place, you know. I
mm,
mean, there's so and Bach exactly. Bach is so perfect because it is written beautifully. One of my professors in college, her doctoral thesis was on that if you took certain was certain pieces of Bach, by Bach, certain fugues, and you laid the pages out in a certain way, the face of Christ would appear in the notes.
wow.
What?
It was really, really interesting. Dr. Anne Lee, yeah, she's no longer with us, sadly. But I remember it was fascinating. But it was just, she copped this, that you put them out in a certain order and the notes would form the face of Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Mm,
Wow. Wow. I mean, those things that you don't, those kinds of happen on a different level. You know, that's
mm,
like,
Yeah,
mm.
that's
really.
creating on a different level. Yeah. Okay. So one of some of the questions we had for you was, you know, how can we strengthen our own intuition and also a connection to spirit? You kind of answered that, but how do we strengthen our own intuition?
Well, I mean, when people come to me to study mediumship, what I would tell them is the first thing is you need to start to slow down your mind,
Mm,
right? But you also need to begin to trust yourself because your mind is going to play tricks. Because if we like to think about the angel and the devil on the shoulder, right? So you have the angel, which is your subconscious, and you have the devil, which is your ego,
Mm,
and you're stuck in the middle. So you're kind of thinking, is this real? Am I really getting this, or is this, you know, is this my ego telling me what I
right.
want to hear? Right. So bring it right back to basic. You need to start listening to your gut when your body is telling. I mean, we have, you know, somatic experience. The body tells you when
mm,
something is wrong. You know, I like to use the analogy of, right, we all know that when we go on a date and we're sitting there and we, you know, we walk in and we meet somebody and then we're like, "Ugh," right, right. The body's telling us run. Right. Interestingly enough, if we go in, and I like this because this ties in with a piece of Chinese philosophy and the red string. If you go in and you meet somebody and you're on a date and you're kind of like, you're all butterflies and it's all like, your body's warning you this is not for you. Where if you feel very calm, that's your body
Mm,
mm.
saying this person is for you.
mm,
And so we need to, so it just, we need to notice the signal. Our body's always telling us because our body is the intuitive receptor.
mhm,
You
Right.
know, without our body, we can't feel anything. So you have to
mhm,
listen to how your body wants to respond to things. So, for example, I would say, but of course, we need to slow down the mind because the ego comes out and says, blah, 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 blah. And you go, yeah, right, you're dead right. No, no. So we need to slow down the mind. So again, simple things like box breathing techniques. So
mhm,
I always tell everybody, think about it. In the beginning, right? If you ever read any of the Gnostic texts about the Sophia of Jesus Christ, for example, okay, she talks about she existed before. She was the first breath of the divine.
mhm,
Mm,
Think about that. She was breathed out over the oceans. right? To create things. That's the subconscious, right? She is the subconscious, right? This is what the return of the divine feminine is. We're about reuniting our subconscious, which is the gateway to the soul, right? So we're asking for to slow down the ego, to connect back to that, so that we can hear the message. So what you need to do is calm the mind. And everybody thinks, oh my God, I need to become a Zen master. No, you don't.
Right.
Right. Very simple technique. Box breathing. Right. If you breathe in for four counts, then you hold for four. You hold for four, then you slowly breathe out for four, and no air for four. So in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, no air 2, 3, 4. And repeat that a couple of times, and just slowly, slowly, slowly calm yourself down. Then you become much calmer and you're much more receptive. And the lovely thing to do about this is you go in with the intention. Remember, setting intentions is always important. You go in and you set the intention of, I'm going to receive a message or an answer to my question. So if you have a question, sit there and contemplate it as you breathe in this pattern. And you'll get the answer, you know.
Yeah.
And that always works for me anyway.
And I would say, and if you have the intention to do it and you don't take the time to slow down, you will get woken up in the night when you are, and then you're sleepy, because that's what happened to me. Like I think I didn't sleep for a year and a half and I finally said, okay, I get it. I will make sure I take time out of my day to listen. And I mean, the things that come, they're far beyond me. I'm telling you, I am not that educated, but like it's profound what comes. And
Graham, so what are your current offerings, and then where can people, how do they gain access to you, I guess?
Well, I suppose through my website, which is CelticTarotTherapy.com. There we go.
Okay, perfect.
They can contact me. It is currently under reconstruction at the moment. We have talked about doing something together. Don't think I've forgotten about that. At the moment, I'm concentrating on building the spiritual community and my practice, because I'm opening a new premises on Friday, and where I'm offering everything. So I'm doing people can come to me for spiritual coaching, people can come to me for tarot, people can come for mediumship, physical healings, because the people have been asking me for ages, like spiritual healings, and of course psychotherapy. So so the whole shebang they can come to me, and then it also doubles as the community center for my spiritual group. But online, because I have a lot of clients from around the world, I have everything there too, but you book in for that separately. But again, it'll be all on the website, and you just email us and we can book you in, and until the new booking system goes. So yes, there's quite a lot to be able to help people with. And interestingly, I was having this discussion, just go back to our last point, about the tarot. The tarot is a wonderful tool now for connecting you back to your essence, right? So if you think about it, right, I don't know if you know anything about the tarot. So the wands is the energy, right? It's the creative force, right? So that's the divine will. It also represents will. So you receive, you have the ambition. It comes through the idea that you want. Then it's perceived into the realm of emotions, and which is the cups. So you give emotion to it. Then you put it into the realm of swords, which is air, which is intellect. And then finally it passes into the material world of pentacles, which there you manifest it into reality. So that's what the tarot is used for. The tarot is used as a tool for reflection to help you bring about necessary changes. Yes, it can be used for divination, but the thing is, I always say to you, you've all got free will. So if you don't, if it's giving you all these signals and you just ignore it, it's not going to work for you. You know, it's tarot is a tool for reflection and about communicating with your own soul. So before I get a million and one emails going, but tarot is a cult and it's all demonic and everything else and blah 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 blah, right? Right. We all seem to forget, right, that actually it's okay in the Bible to be a prophet and to be a mystic and to be a medium. In 1 Corinthians 12, there's a whole load of, and actually several verses where, as long as you're using the gift that the divine has blessed you with, whether it be prophecy, healing, the ability to talk to spirits, to see them, in the service of love, we're all good.
That's what I love about you, how you can mix those two worlds together, and it just makes sense. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's something I did want to address, is the story of the tarot. Is there anything else you can teach us? Because I think, until you ask the question and get an answer, you don't know exactly. It's a deck of cards, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there's more to it than that. And when you learn the story, you kind of go, oh,
yeah,
that makes
so
sense.
the tarot began as a card game, right, back in the 16th century in Italy, for the Medici family, right? Or
Yep.
the Medici, and then it became it became the Sforza family, actually, and then it became put down to different things, and all this mad stuff was added to it. Like Atelier was this French guy who decided made up all this stuff about it coming from Egypt and everything else. But the tarot that we know, right, the actual tarot, like the Rider-Waite-Smith or the Thoth deck, and then everything that's come since, is where the book actually stops, because that was designed by mystics, right, for the purposes of divination, right? But it was about an alchemical process inside of yourself to help you connect with the divine, to find your way through life. It wasn't about telling, oh, am I going to win the lotto next week or anything like that. No, it's a tool to help you connect with the divine. It's all full of tableaus and lessons, right? And archetypes, and also it's a psychological tool. Okay, but it was specifically designed by the age of the golden dawn, right? It was specifically designed by them as a tool for this, for introspection and manifestation. So that's why I always tell people, yes, all these lovely decks are fantastic, but if you really want to do it, go back to the OG. Okay, and then study it, because it's full of symbolism. They put loads of symbols into it so that people would understand them, because again, getting back to our own understanding of things, we have the reticular activating system inside of our brain, as we know, and it's there that once we connect to that, we can manifest what we want. After all, as Proverbs 23:7 teaches us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he becomes. What you focus on, you attract.
Right.
So
That's the
the
modern
tarot is basically a tool to help us figure out what it is we truly desire. The symbols are all there because since we were cave people, we were putting stuff on cave walls,
Right.
going, oh, there's a lion down there, don't go out there. There's a saber-tooth tiger out there, don't go out there. You'll be eaten. So there's food down here. There's loads of cows over there. But we knew from the symbols on the wall, so our brain understands and recognizes symbols. Like, for example, we all see the big golden M. We all know that's McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We see the man and the woman on the wall. We know that's the men's room and that's the girls' room.
Right.
We know this, so we understand the power of symbols. So our culture has taught us lots and lots of symbols. So for me, growing up as an Irish person, I understand the power of certain symbols that I can see in things, or because I understand the mysticism behind them. The same with the Christian imagery that's used in the tarot. The same with the Egyptian imagery. It's a combination of all things. They stir something inside us, and colors, and it's the use of color. And those of you who watch my daily Instagram, and because I do daily polls on Instagram and TikTok,
so good.
I always explain what's going on, and like the colors have meanings. Every single thing has a meaning behind it, and it relates to your chakras and your energy centers and how you bring things forward. Numbers have meanings, patterns. It's all about recognizing the patterns, and we've been doing this since time began.
And because they're symbolic, then we as individuals get to join it. You know what I mean? Instead of it being fed to you, you step into it, and your interpretation becomes a beautiful thing too.
Exactly, because it's what does it bring up inside of you?
Yeah.
Right? Because I will say to you, so one question I get an awful lot is about love, right? When will I get, like, this is a therapist and a mystic, right? What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, well, the answer is not that you're doing anything wrong, but what are you doing right? So I'll ask them, going back to the RAS, I want you to write out a list. What is it you truly want in a partner, right? And then I want you to, like, qualities, write out these qualities, right? And then I want you to go through this list and say, how am I showing up in my life as this? Because your brain will understand, and it will act like a filter to knock out everything else. Everybody I've taught that to, it has worked for. Every single person, right? And so that's it, because again, you're teaching your brain about the imagery. What does it mean to you? Because if I say loyalty, well, what does loyalty look like to me? It might mean something different to me to you. So you have to show up as this in your life if you want it.
Right.
Gorgeous.
And you get to want to. That's another thing. I think we
Yeah.
spend a lot of time on what's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
and not enough time on what we want to, I mean, that's creation too. You as an individual self bring your particular frequency, and we need it. We need
Your
it.
vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes. Love that.
Yes. I love
I
that.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you, Graham, really quick. I'm going to pivot a little bit because I want to just talk about you personally.
Uh-huh.
Like, what lights you up? What is something that turns you on? I mean, I think learning, obviously.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, is there something else?
To be honest, for me, it's about. I do generally. I'm not saying this because it's like the cheerleader answer. It generally is when people get it and they go and they transform their lives. And knowing that I've been a conduit. Look, can you see everything standing on edge? The spirit speaking through me. So I will say to you is when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, which is helping people realize that they're not in the darkness, that they just need to remember the light is inside, and then they can transform their lives. That's when I know that's what really brings me the greatest joy in life.
Wow.
It's empowering people to find the light inside. And look,
I love that. I love that. All right. While we've got your chills going, I've got another question. When someone's connection to the divine has been distorted through abuse, maybe spiritual abuse or any other kind of abuse, what do you believe restores that sacred relationship?
well, again, I think it's about restoring that sense of self, because often in these cases, if we're talking about spiritual abuse, we've given our power away. So it's about reclaiming it for ourselves. And I've worked in my other work with a lot of young people who've been sexually abused. And it's about giving them back the power to realize, no, they're not dirty. No, they're not broken, but somebody has taken something from them. And it's giving themselves that strength back to them by realizing they're not what happened to them. It's how they use it to move forward. And so that's what you do. You give them the light inside themselves. You remind them of. You don't give them because it already exists inside them.
Right.
You remind them that it's there, and you help them realize that they're no longer the victims of this person. If they or whoever has taken this from them, that they're still loved, they're still valuable, they're still cherished, and you give them that sense of self. And when they begin to have that, then they can reclaim that sense. Because a lot of people, as you know, I'm Irish, so there's been a lot of strange things said about the Catholic Church, etc. We all know about the scandals. That's the same in the Mormon Church, etc. All these people have had power over people. It's nothing to do with God. It's nothing to do with Jesus. This was male. This was people. This was the wrong, corrupted energy, and it was people using their power to do damage to people. So, you're still part of the divine, whether you want to accept it or not. And I think we need to remember that it was all this corruption is nothing to do with love and light, which is what Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you want to call him, talks about. It's because he'd been horrified,
Right.
So,
Right.
but it's to do with people and they're in their own darkness. So you need to reclaim the light for yourself and then get that strength back. But we also need to realize that we no longer, again, hence getting back to Logion 3, they have no laws lest you become bound by them. Have no teachers except that which is inside yourself. Once you remember to reclaim that power, you become unstoppable.
Wow. That's a good promise.
It's a good promise. And how, and one more level, like, how do we do that? How is that for some of those people that you worked with? Do you just support them until you work with them almost as a savior type person until they can do it on their own? No. But do you know what I mean? Like
I'm only a guide who holds the lamp. So yes, I will talk them through what happened, and we'll say, okay, and as a therapist we'll bring this through, and okay, we'll talk about it, and what do you want to do, how do you want to move forward, blah blah blah. You're not in control of this now. We'll talk through it, and we'll do healing techniques, and I'll teach them MBCT and different techniques, but in my spiritual community, I would work with them as well, similar things, and I would say to them this, and I'll help them to go, you're still loved by the divine, blah, 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 blah. You're still part of this, and reassure them and help them realize that, no, they're not lost, they're not broken, and they're not a victim, that they need to reclaim this part of themselves. So it's kind of that kind of work. And that's very rushed version of it, because I know we're running
For
out
sure.
of time, because I can see something happening on the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. But I feel like it's like sometimes we need someone to walk that path with us. Sometimes
Yeah.
we need that path for a bit.
exactly. So all anybody can do for another person is empathize and hold the space. You
Right.
can never take the pain away, but you can lead them out of it.
Mm,
Oh,
That's-
beautiful.
You know,
I like
that is
envisioning
all you
you
can
holding
do.
that lamp. I love that.
right.
Like,
Totally.
But that's all my job is. Like, I'm a channel, and my job is to help you find the light inside of yourself. But you already have it. And you see, this is the big thing that we all need to remember, is that it just sometimes get covered in insult or whatever you want to call it. And it's just, you need that person to remind you of how special and wonderful you are, and that you bring it out. So this is why I'm into HLP and transpersonal psychology, because it's all about human potential. And it's a heart-led process, it's spirituality, it's all of those things combined. So that they would be my big go-tos as a psychotherapist, because it allows for that anomalous experience, it allows for the human potential and the development of the soul and what matters to that person.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, let's everybody reach out. Let's get him, follow him on Instagram and
Please.
then TikTok.
Yes.
At Celtic Tarot Therapy. There, it's on the screen. And
Yeah.
those daily, if you want some daily doses of Graham, you will not be disappointed in what you've got.
I can't believe how spot on they are for me. And like, they're for the collective. So I know that it's more than just me. And I really am grateful for that. And for those who are watching today, we have a code Graham. If you want to get $5.55 off whatever form of membership you like, please use that and come join us at the Wholeness Network. And we'll have Graham. We're going to make Graham make some videos for us.
Yeah, we're going to, and we'll have a YouTube or a podcast episode coming soon.
Yes, and we've all to read some books for it. Yes.
Yes.
Well, the one thing I'd like to do for you guys, I was thinking about this, is I want to teach you my it's a 12-week program I do, where I've used it with my mediums, but it's like the 12-step program for developing your own intuition, but while you do go through different stages of therapy to kind of shed your own inhibitions and stuff, to focus you into connecting back with spirituality, while you shed your issues around child wounds, mother-father wounds, etc. It's a really powerful process, and I think that would be really good for your community.
Yeah. For sure.
Thank you.
We are there. We are there. Well, thank you so much again for being here, and more to come with Graham. And if you were here for 5 minutes, you know what we see, like this, just really grateful gratitude and amazing connection to be able to be in your presence and to learn at your feet. So thank you again. And everyone, we will be back here tomorrow again, same time, same place.
Yep.
And we're heading on the other side of the world. We'll be that tomorrow night, or tonight today we're with Ireland, and we'll be with New Zealand tomorrow at the same time. So we're going all over the world. So join us global. Again. Yeah, we're going global. Yeah. So everybody have a good rest of your day wherever you are. Don't tell Graham what happened on Treasures. He's gonna learn that eventually. All right. We'll see everyone. Have a great day. Bye.